for all. Okay, thank you, everybody. Now, normally we would go into reports from if anyone had anything on the school board and stuff like that, but I know there was a topic that was asked to be discussed tonight, and that pertains to the high school schedules and why they were so late going, or why they will be so late going out, because I believe they'll be available tomorrow, Saturday on in the system, but I'm not sure. So, Debbie, can we turn it over to you to get an update on that and more of a little discussion on why it happened and what happened? We're hoping that we have other people that are at least listening on the call. The reason why Frank answered the question last night on the town hall, but my concern is to wait for another town hall to bring it up again, is that and I don't know how many people are actually going to be on this meeting tonight, because we told them we weren't going to have a reopening update tonight. But if anyone is listening, I really would appreciate you to explain to answer their questions.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
This summer, I mean, traditionally when doing the master schedule, we work all spring on developing class sections and class loads and determining the number of teachers and sections we're going to have. And while we were able to get the number of students in different classes completed in a typical timeline, what was delayed was our ability to execute with that information. So the development of the master schedule is a huge process. And, as late as mid-July, we were guided we really had to wait for guidance from the state. And so as a result, in our discussions with Dr. Sheboy and Dr. Tehador, we really, I'm sorry, this always happens. We were guided to delay making any final decisions and plans on the schedule, because we really were not certain about what the state would allow and what the state would compel us to do in terms of instruction, and what we were going to, and how instruction would look in September in terms of whether it was going to be virtual, hybrid, or if it was going to be live, in person. And so all of those factors, what we were doing was planning for all three. But, not having a decision compelled us to not lock and to not pursue even planning how we were going to do things in terms of building the schedule, because it would essentially be wasted time. And one of the things we wanted to make sure of, even with the guidance counselors, we have them for a finite number of days in the summer. And so I did not want them to spend working hours that we would need them for, because we knew that in August, we knew from the beginning of the summer that it was going to be a back-loaded process rather than a front-loaded process. And again, we don't want to work that way, but we were somewhat compelled to because of our unusual circumstances. And so in the month of July, we were waiting, and we were planning the best we could, and we were intaking students, obviously, and the like. But then we really didn't get finalized guidance from the state until about the second week in August. And really, that's when we, as a district said, okay, we are doing hybrid. And even that, so as we were planning, even that was changing things, right? So, my plan for virtual instruction in terms of the schedule and and even hybrid instruction and how the schedule would look shifted multiple times, because again, we were researching what other districts were doing. We were researching best practice. We were getting feedback from various constituents. So, for a while we were thinking about, do we want to do a block schedule where we have a certain number of classes on one day and then other classes on the other day? And then we considered the conflicts with that and why that might work. We were even considering, do we want to have a unified lunch period, or do we want to have a typical lunch period? Do we want to host only certain classes in the morning and others in the afternoon? And then, so all of those factors were in there. And then on top of that, we also had to consider the 8th graders as well, and how that would be impacted by HFIS's schedule and how we could incorporate that. So there were many factors that we were looking at. And then when we were finally able to make a decision and move forward, and again, that was no one's fault. It was really about what state guidance would allow us to do. We did proceed with making some of those final decisions. And even when we did that, originally we had an 8:25 start time virtually for the high school. That was what we planned, and we were hoping for that because we felt it would be more sound for what we know about teenagers. That had to change once we knew we were going hybrid for sure because of transportation issues and, the inability to kind of shift everybody's schedule. And there were many reasons for that, and all viable and valuable. And so that even shifted which period we could have before and after lunch. And when we shifted that impacted all of the labs, because traditionally we have many different lunch periods. And so we can stagger the labs differently, and now we had to make it so that we couldn't split up the labs with the lunch in the middle. So all of those little decisions were impacting our ability to move forward. And then on top of that, we were waiting to hear back even about something as simple as using plastic shield covers in our classrooms. And Dr. Sheboy was looking with the Department of Health to see, is this a viable option? Because if we were allowed to use plastic shield covers that kids could carry from class to class and not have to sanitize between every period, then we could change the way we were going to approach doing rooms. And so, and our inability to do that meant that we could not do that, and so we had to then approach the room schedule altogether. And in and of itself, the room scheduling process was incredibly difficult. I can't speak highly enough of how much work the guidance department put into figuring out how to have not only classrooms used every other period, but making sure that the classes that they assigned to any particular room did not exceed the maximum number of occupants. And that also involved breaking down every single class that's offered in the high school by cohort. And so, they had to do that, and then they had to analyze whether or not each half of the cohort could fit in the room that they had assigned for that particular class. And so all of those factors were in there. And then on top of that, we had other issues that were arising as we were having discussions with teachers. Where would their lunchrooms be? How would we break up students in different areas of the building? And so all of these decisions were part of the process. And before we could lock, we had to get the rooms in place. And by the way, with all of those issues with the labs and moving the lunch period, that also affected things like special ed classes and any other singletons we have. So very often special education classes are the drivers of the master schedule, as are individual classes, which are called singletons. And those drive the schedule because we have to determine they can't overlap with one another. So for example, you can't have, let's say, AP US history, the same period you might have criminal justice, because the same teacher teaches both courses. And so you have to look at the singletons and decide where they can go and where they can fit with one another. And so all of those factors come into play. And so the counselors spent hours and hours and hours on top of also organizing the new student orientation at the same time. And so all of these things came into play, and Robin and I worked with the counselors as well. And so we worked every day on it to make sure it got done. But it just meant that we locked much, much later. We usually lock in the first week of July, and then we deal with the conflicts. And I know Dr. Sheboy explained this last night, that when you lock, you're looking to get around 94 to 95% of students placed in the classes they requested. But that last 5% are based on conflicts. And that means that 5% of the students didn't get every class they asked for. So then we have to go back in and look at why. What are they missing? Did they have, an extra study hall planned in there? Is there a conflict that shouldn't be? And what do we have to change to make that work? And then those conflicts create their own issues this year, because we have students, we can't exceed the maximum number of students in a classroom. And so we have to look at, can we fit this student in, not only in the one class that that maybe they didn't get placed in, but if that causes a ripple effect on the rest of their schedule, we have to then address those ripples as well, because that might mean we might need to move another student out of a class that was in there, not because they have a conflict in the schedule, but because another student can't get English 11, which is required for graduation, and this student, just might not get an elective, or maybe can take the class in a different period. So those just take time and hours, and that doesn't even include the conversations that sometimes have to happen with students because they want to take, let's say, 2 science classes that run the same period, and they're going to have to choose which one they prefer. So all of those factors are in play. And so again, the counselors have been working all week for the past 2 weeks in terms of just resolving the conflicts. And so we don't want to publish those things with students until we get as many of those done as we can, if not all of them, because what happens is if you give a student, as we found the other day when it accidentally got published, if you give a student a schedule that is rife with conflicts or doesn't have the classes that they've asked for, then you have a situation where the student and the parents are frustrated. What do you mean I don't have an English class? I need English to graduate. What do you mean I don't have, or what do you mean I have to choose, or why don't I have chemistry? I wanted chemistry, and right here it says I have only physics. And so we have to then have those conversations. And if we publish too early, then we essentially are using time to respond to emails and phone calls that could be time used to spend to resolve the conflicts that are existent. So although it is later and it is frustrating to parents, it is frustrating to us as well. This whole summer has been frustrating in many ways for many different reasons. The feeling of going into the school year and the 11th hour having to tell students things, it's hard for teachers, it's hard for administrators, it's hard for guidance counselors. So there is no part of us, and we all know this, so none of us want it to be this late. It was an inevitability of this year, and it was an inevitability of the circumstances of the summer, of the state, and of the Department of Health. And so we are hoping that we are going to be giving the students their schedules. We're even trying to push it up to some point tomorrow. And try to make it a little bit earlier so that students can get the schedules a little earlier if possible. Again, counselors have been working day in and day out to get this done. And so that's pretty much the reason it's coming out when it is. And but we're still hoping that families will have it. And the reason why we are asking that families not make requests for schedule changes on Tuesday and Wednesday is because given that this is a virtual start to the school year, we anticipate that many students are going to struggle because it's going to be an A and B day. So they're going to struggle getting into classes. So what we are doing is setting up a live feed, or it's basically a live link where counselors are going to stay on that link all day so that any students who have either issues with just their schedule and finding out where they're supposed to go, or maybe they're just feeling anxiety about going back to school, we have 4 counselors ready to respond to them at any given point in the day for the first 2 days of school. And I felt that was more important than resolving the fact that I'm not in history versus Hollywood, and I really wanted to be. And, and we will be more accommodating to students who, if they decide they want to drop a class or add a class, we usually have time limits. We will be more accommodating with those limits simply because of the late start to the year and the limits on who can contact the guidance counselors or contacting the guidance counselors early in the year.
So Debbie, I appreciate that level of explanation. I am at least one of the parents that you're referring to that did see that schedule when it was up in that little blip of time. And it did cause panic in my house because, my son wasn't put into a math class. And of course it was like, oh my God. But it's led to further things in terms of not knowing whether or not he's in some of the electives that he chose. And some of those electives have summer assignments, which are due tomorrow. So it left him doing assignments, not knowing if he's in the classes, sending them to the teacher saying, I'm not sure if I'm in your class or not, but I did these assignments and I don't know who to send my son to if he's not in those classes and he did that work. So,
Right.
It's going to be very one angry student, if that's the case. And those assignments have very, very clear language on them about how late assignments will not be accepted. And I wonder, is something going to go out that speaks to that? Because if they request those classes, it doesn't mean they're going to be put in them. So if they, are put in them, but didn't realize there was a summer assignment or didn't do it because they didn't know if they were in it, I just don't feel like they should be penalized for not doing an assignment they didn't know they had.
So if kids signed up for an AP or an honors class, those are the only assignments only classes that have a summer assignment. They have been instructed to do their summer assignment, and they were told when they registered that this is part of the class. However, I do think you make a valid point.
But they were choosing those as electives; those aren't required classes. So they also were told you may or may not get put into that class.
Right. So, but even as an elective, if there is a required assignment over the summer, that's part. If you're choosing to take that class, an elective simply means that you don't have to take it, but you would like to take it. And so there's that part of the class. However, I do think your point is valid and one that I will re-emphasize with teacher about late assignments or assignments that students might have struggled to get done, or that they, if there was some confusion, especially to offer some leeway. And I think teachers in general are cognizant of the challenges of the summer, but that is something that I will point out to them, especially, and usually what happens with that as well, and the counselors are pretty awesome about this, is that, very often we'll get, for example, a late transfer student who comes in, let's say, the third week in August to the district, and they sign up for, let's say, an honors class. And then the counselor will talk to the teachers and say, just so you know, the student came in, and there's some kind of accommodation made for that student to get that work done.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
And if I could just interject one real quick thing on, how Debbie mentioned, we go back to the Department of Health and keep asking for clarification. So I got clarification that desks have to be disinfected between students, not just cleaned. It was the final word. I actually had to go back and forth 5 times today with clarifying emails. Cleaned and disinfected is what they're recommending. So, yep, that means students can't do it. That means not using rooms twice in a row in most cases. And yeah, so I'm glad we built the schedule that way as opposed to now having to change it. So.
Yeah, definitely. Can I just interrupt for a second? Marissa, can you hear me? Aaron said that people are saying to him that there's no link for this meeting on the website for them to be able to listen. Can you check that for me?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay. So does any other board member have any other questions for Mrs. Brand about the schedule, because she's got to get back to school?
I don't have a question. I just want to comment real quick. I know we see the hard work that goes into all this. I just want the community to understand and realize that the stuff that we are trying to get done at the end of the summer isn't because we're lazy or lack of planning. It's continued guidance that comes down that we're trying to follow. So just continue to bear with us. We're doing the best we can. Our administrative team is working hard. So that's the only thing I ask is, I know people are upset, but I just ask you to keep being mindful that we are doing our best with what we have. So that's all. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Mrs. Brand.
Thank you all very much, and have a great night.
Okay. You too. Thanks. Okay. So, thank you for letting us change that right now. I'd like to call for any board comments. Raise your hand if you have a board comment. I'm flipping back and forth between screens. So before we start, I'd like to make one comment. It's just more of a notice, an announcement. And Dr. Sheboy, please keep me in line here. So we were informed today of a situation with the water line in the village that feeds water to our high school. And we are working with the village and our council on the situation, and we will be getting advice from our legal counsel on this topic during executive session. But I wanted the board to all be aware that we are aware of the situation in case you're approached by anybody in the village about the situation with the water. So that's where we leave that tonight.
And
so,
I would just
Yes.
like to get in the minutes and on record that during that portion of the executive session where we will discuss that, I will recuse myself from that discussion.
Thank you, Jimmy. Very good point, because by then we won't be in the public. So thank you. Since for anyone who's listening or on that doesn't know, Jimmy is fortunate enough to serve the school board and the village board. So since the discussion right now, or situation right now, is between the village and the school, Jimmy will recuse himself from our discussion with our attorneys in executive session as it pertains to this topic. Okay, now I saw Aaron's hand up. Aaron, I just wanted to clarify too as well. They confirmed that the link is on and people are watching it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So go ahead, Ned, and then it's Aaron. Go ahead, Ned.
Jim, to your knowledge, has the village identified identified where the leak
No,
is?
we're not able
located?
to discuss it right now, Ned. Our attorneys have requested that we keep the discussion into executive session with them present at this time. That came right from our attorneys to me. Frank, confirming?
That's correct.
Yes. Just a short while before the meeting. Okay. Aaron? I think you're on mute.
There we go.
There we
How's
go.
that?
Thank you.
Sorry. I just wanted to real quick. I saw the flyer for the Healthy Kids program came out today. It didn't have a lot of information listed on it as far as how they were running the program. So from I guess a taxpayer, a parent, community member standpoint, it looks like we are opening our buildings for daycare, but not for school. So I was wondering if, I know you touched on it last night. I think I missed some of it last night at the town hall on Monday. So if anyone had any more information they could just put out there. I mean, I know it's a contained group in a certain part of the building, the cleaning and stuff, but if anyone had any more information, I know people are probably watching it, waiting to get more information on it. So if we were able to just touch on that real quick, I would appreciate it.
Yes, so at our last meeting and at the town hall, Dr. Theodore said that she was going to reach out to Healthy Kids and get information from them on what kind of daycare they would be able to provide, if anything, because that will be the next thing that the state comes and tells us that we need to do, especially for our employees or any of the parents that. So what we did was, but we weren't able to release it yet for simple questions of exactly what you just asked. So, and then we also had to work with our attorneys on it as well. So Dr. Theodore waited till she had the information. It was announced last night that the link was available to go out there and get the information and sign up. But Dr. Theodore, can you answer what you found out from the state and our attorneys and also Healthy Kids?
Sure, I'd be happy to. In the spring, when we had to move to emergency remote learning, one of the first things New York State required was for the district to identify partners for childcare. And while we weren't able to offer anything within our community, Healthy Kids was offering a lot of programs in the region, and we were able to connect parents to those Healthy Kids programs as an option. As we started to plan to come back this fall, we were working with Healthy Kids to offer a before and after school program for our students in kindergarten through 6th grade at the Highland Falls Intermediate School on the days that they would have been assigned to attend classes in person. During this time, we've received many, many emails from families asking for help, requesting assistance, and locating options. So Healthy Kids has been just responding to district's needs all around the state. They've instituted full day daycare options for staff in certain school districts where the staff can, pay for childcare in the schools. One of the things that they have been doing is coming in when school districts make the shift from hybrid to a full virtual program to offer programs. And what it is the programs are contained to large spaces in the school district. They also limit the cohorts of students in each group to 10. And so we would add small groups together at a time, and they would be located primarily in the gymnasium, the cafeteria. They go outside as much as possible. They have a very set protocol for students to wash their hands every 2 hours at a minimum. They have scheduled mask breaks, but they also will support the students in terms of their academics in our school district. So they would be able to, the children would be able to bring their laptops if they needed, and they could connect to our network, and they would make sure that the students were connected to the academic program, as well as adhere to any safety protocols to ensure the health and well-being of the students that would be there, adhering to social distancing expectations, and also adhering to the requirement to have masks on at all times while they were in the buildings together. So they really have done this in a lot of school districts. They've been very responsive to students' needs. Right now, the link that's out there to the Healthy Kids program is to identify the potential interest to run a program. So parents can express an interest, they can save their spot, And as soon as we have a critical number around 10, we'll open up that first cohort. And also Healthy Kids, has to make sure that they have adequate staffing for the program. So those are things that we're putting in place now. We do not have a definitive start date. As soon as we do, we'll make that available for the community as well.
Okay. No, it seems like they have at least a good idea of what they want to do and how they want to implement it. I think from a community standpoint, a lot of people asked for different options with help with schooling and childcare and things like that. I think it was a good response to it. As long as we're doing it safely and we're keeping cohorts small and things like that, I feel like it's something the community should respond to positively instead of complaining a lot. But it is what it is, I guess. But I appreciate the explanation, and I hope the community, everyone listening, understands that it's more of a service that Healthy Kids is looking to provide that we're partnering with, and it seems like it could be a good thing. But if anyone's interested, make sure you click that link, reserve your spot, get some more information, and hopefully it helps a lot of people in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Erin. And what people need to understand is that I understand the frustration everybody's in. Believe me, I do. But we do have to service all children, and we have to make sure that if we are required or asked to give, put a plan in place or put a program in place, it took time and it's taking time, and we're making sure all our T's are crossed and I's are dotted. And I think it's a great program for parents that don't have a choice and need to go to work, like many of us do. So I appreciate Dr. Teodore's time, and I really do hope we get enough students and families interested that we can get the program going. So thank you. Thank you for explaining that. Okay, are there any other board comments or questions? Okay. Hold on, I need to go to my next slide here. Okay, Dr. Sheboy.
Thank you, Ms. Lawless. Just wanted to say that we had a wonderful opening recognition ceremony and opening day, and superintendent conference days are going well. I'm sure that Dr. Teodore will speak about that. We did have another town hall last night. We had a pretty good attendance at it. We're looking forward to scheduling another one next week. It is our goal, as we're going to be presenting to the board bi-weekly, I think our goal will be to do a town hall in the weeks in between the board meetings, because then we are keeping consistent information going out there. And if there was anything that was earth-shattering, obviously we would make sure that the board was aware of that. Again, we're looking forward to continuing to move those red areas to yellow and the yellow areas to green, so that we can get our children, faculty, and staff, everybody back in our buildings safely. Very happy that we have Scott and Joe here to give an update when their discussion comes in. I just want to let everybody know I appreciate them being here. I think that they're going to give a nice overview of where we are in all the perspectives of the project. And again, as per the town hall, we said we answered lots of questions last night, and we're mindful of what's going on in not only other school districts around us about reopening, but also in what's going on in universities and in schools around the nation that have reopened. And even just tonight, we saw that SUNY Oneonta sent everybody home. So these are difficult times, and I know that the decisions that we're making are difficult and certainly not always popular, but I still stand behind them, and I thank the board for the opportunity to do the town hall work with the community. So that's my report.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing I saw today, just a short while ago, is that unfortunately, and very sad to hear, while the numbers are leveling off and even going down in New York State and the Hudson Valley, the numbers are the past 3 days have been creeping up. So that's a concern that we're really going to have to watch. So, okay.
Also, the number of children who are afflicted with it is also increasing substantially.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
article in today's Times with details.
Okay. So it's just not good news all around. Dr. Theodore?
Thank you. We've been focused on the professional learning with the superintendent's conference days, Tuesday through Friday this week. Tuesday, Dr. Sheboy and you welcomed our faculty to the new school year. And the afternoon, the teachers and administrators, principals organized or spent the day looking at planning and preparing for the virtual learning environment. By and large, the focus has been on how do we reach students, how do we reconnect with students, and how do we make them feel welcome back to school and check on them on their social and emotional well-being. So that's a big focus of our start of school this year. In addition, on Tuesday, we spent the day as a refresher and on some of the existing technologies that we adopted in the spring, and also an introduction to some of the newer technologies that we've put in place for the fall. In addition, this morning and tomorrow morning, both of the days are starting with conversations around diversity and equity in our schools. So it's been pretty exciting. A lot of great feedback from the faculty. I really appreciate hearing from everyone, and we're excited to be with students on Tuesday.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Ms. Sedera? Hi there. Sorry, I couldn't find you.
I'm here, thank you.
Mhm.
I'm hiding. I'm good. I have a few items. Adeline did send out on Tuesday the transportation to the career and tech students. They will start to be picked up on Tuesday and transported to Orange to BOCES for classes. I have submitted all of the state aid claim forms as of Tuesday, September 1st. So that's done. We're just waiting for them to come back, be cleaned, and we make adjustments as needed. That's what drives our state aid. We also, on August 28th, we submitted, and Dr. Sheboy certified, the New York State Transparency Report. This is the first time that our district had a report for the New York State Transparency, which is for the 2021 school year budget. So it was very interesting because Nicole and I had a lot of questions because, we put pre-K on pause, but because the voters approved the budget back in June, we had to actually show all that data. So when we got finished with the form, it actually shows us how much per student we pay per building. So the breakdown for the Fort Montgomery Elementary School, it shows that we spend $22,391.02 per student. At the intermediate school, we pay $25,619.17 per student. And at the high school, we spend $25,183. Oh, God. I just lost. Craig, give me the hotspot. I just lost the fucking connection.
Where is it?
On the bed.
Denise, you're still on.
Are you there?
Yes.
We hear you.
I lost everything.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear us, Denise? Okay, I don't want to put, we'll come back to Denise when she's more well connected. I don't want to put any principals on the spot, but principals, directors, anybody else who has any comments? If anyone has any comments or updates they'd like to share, feel free.
I would love to share.
Oh, good. Okay, and I saw Robin raise her hand as well. So this is great. So go
we
ahead.
had a really great first few days of school. The teachers are really taking on the technology, and they've been collaborating in new ways. So today the teams met to talk about their curriculum and what that's going to look like. But we also met and used a newer piece of Google that we haven't really explored much called Jamboard, so that we could share different ways to get to know our kids those first few weeks of school and first few days of school. So the energy's been really positive in the building, and everybody's just been really wonderful and is just very excited to see their kids. And we did actually today plan, similar to the intermediate school, a drive to visit and meet our new students next week. So look out for that. If you're on Dojo and FMES, look out for your teacher's message for when they'll be visiting.
That's great. Thank you.
So I know that
Mrs. Haberman?
Thank you. I know Debbie spoke before. I'm sorry, I had an appointment I had to be at.
Yeah.
Just want to say that we're very much looking forward to the start of the school year. I just can't wait to connect with the students, and really just I think it's going to be a fantastic beginning under the circumstances, and we're really there to support them in any way we can. And can't wait to just get into it and get started. So we are looking forward to the school year very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, my friend, with your hand up. Hi.
Hi. So I just wanted to say that we did have some students that started school today. So we have some students that went out to Orange Ulster BOCES, and in cooperation with West Point Tours and Orange Ulster BOCES, our buses got to the school. All of our students lined up in their spots and went into school and had such an amazing day. We spoke to the director earlier, and she said just all the kids were so excited to be together. They stayed on their spots. They stayed in their desks. They kept their masks on, but they had just a great day. So we're so thankful to them as our partners that, they were able to arrange for our kids to go to school today. We have some more starting next week, but this was our first day.
Thank you. That's such great news. I just got the chills. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Where's my other friend? Does he have anything?
I always have something. I can always.
I knew that, Michael. That's what I was going to. Okay, go ahead.
Now, I just want to reiterate what Robin and Rachel had said, that it was great to have our staff back. I said in our first meeting that it was the best day we've had since March 13th because the building was alive again. Although it's not with the students, the energy and the positivity that our teachers were showing and have showed all through the week, just re-energizes administrators because it's been a long summer. It's been a long 8 weeks for us, and just to see the excitement from our teachers. And then we've had some students, new students registering and picking up Chromebooks and seeing them and just interacting with families again, brought a lot of joy to me personally. So I'm waking up at about 4 a.m. to get to work at about 5:30 because I'm ready to go every day. Also, I'll be going to bed much earlier. So when this is over, it's probably gonna be my bedtime. But no, I just want to say it's great. It's great to have the school year get ready to kick off. It's not what we hoped for, but we are ready to rock and roll and looking forward to it.
Thank you. Did I miss anybody? Okay. Oh, wait, our friend Denise is on. Denise, did you have anything else? I cut you off.
I am so sorry. Our connection's bad up here, so I apologize. No, I just wanted to say that I don't know if you heard that they're going to start paving in the back lot and then finish up the student lots tomorrow. And then they'll come back up front next week to finish everything up front.
Great.
On the project. Okay, I'm sorry again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. That brings us right into our discussion items. The high school schedule's done. We can come back to the committees and liaison assignments since we have our friends here to give us an update on the capital project. So I know everyone on the board is looking forward to that. Dr. Sheepboy has been sharing with us some amazing videos, weekly or bi-weekly, that have really kept us up to date. So thank you for that. And we're looking forward to the update. So who's going to go first or who's going to talk?
Why don't we have Scott go first, because he can go through where we are as far as numbers and just as far as some generic progress. And then Joe can give us update where we are and where we will be in the next weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good to see everybody again, even if it's virtually. Wanted to just talk a little bit about the project. As you know, the contractors have been working very hard since really the late spring and right through the summer here, and they're still working hard. They're hustling to try to get everything ready. Joe's going to talk a little bit about that in a little more detail here talk about the schedule over the next week or two. But I did want to give just a brief update on the where we stand as far as the numbers go on the project. And I could share the screen, but I think that you sent out the budget report to everybody, so I think the board has that. So I'll just walk through that. I'll just walk through that real quick. So this is just a snapshot of a summary page of a report that we keep, that we update really sort of almost every other day as different information comes in. And we have, we track each one of the contractors, and we track, when if a proposal request goes out or a request for a change goes out, we track all of that, and we try to keep the numbers on up to date. We also try to track the incidental cost, and the district is working with their financial advisor, and they have been helping keep track of those numbers as well. So we coordinate with them also. So the spreadsheet that you received, I just want to point out on the incidental cost budget, you'll see a line item that says original budget to the left, and then over to the right, you'll see spent to date. So the spent to date, it's a little misleading when I said spent to date, because I'm showing the architectural and the CM fees being the exact same number as what's on the original budgeted, but I did that because those will be spent. So I didn't think it made sense to keep track of what percentage you're in on that. So I just said, okay, those are all going to be spent. There you go. The numbers in green, though, are the numbers that have currently been spent on different things such as legal services and general administration, utilities, furniture, and equipment. And you'll notice that we're pretty significantly under budget on most of those items. On the contractor side, we're in the home stretch here. The goal is to try to have this project complete and all the paperwork submitted for closeout on this project by the end of December of this year. That's the financial plan, and we are on track for that. Even though it may not look it when you look at some of the things that are going on, especially with the field that's still under construction. But that'll get wrapped up pretty quick once they get off of the parking lots and start focusing on that again. So we are on track for that. The project is doing pretty well right now. You'll see a bottom line number at the very bottom right-hand corner. You'll say current unencumbered funds. So right now, we're a little over $1 million of unencumbered funds on the overall project. Will we end up that way at the end of the day? Close to that, we believe. We are carrying a few numbers in our financial spreadsheet of things that we think are going to happen, but we have not seen the paperwork from the contractors yet. One of those is there is more rock that this has just been a wonderful site to dig rock out of and spend money on. So there's more rock that we think is coming. So we've put aside about $150,000 for that. Will we spend that all? We're not sure, but that's a number that we put in. So that's already included in the numbers you see. We'll also be discussing, I think, as well, there is an option to do some abatement for the lights in the auditorium. We've realized once we got into that and they got up there and they tested that steel, there is asbestos on there. So it's obviously difficult to get off the steel at the height of the auditorium and to work around the seats and all of that. So if that is something that the district decides to move forward with, and we're not asking about that tonight, we haven't put the formal change orders together for that yet, but that's a pretty chunk of money that we're already including in our spreadsheet. So if you don't spend that, if you decide not to do that, then obviously we go back to the bottom line. But with all of those, yes.
Just to clarify, that's for the light upgrades for the auditorium. So the light upgrades are already part of the project. So,
yes.
This would be to do that work. This abatement would have to happen. And our financial advisor, Denise, can speak to this a little bit better than me, thinks that that's something that is certainly something we should do. We in the project is the replacement of those lights. We should take care of that now because we've already purchased the lights. But we're not going to ask the board to act on that. I just want to give that framework. It looks like Denise has something.
Right, and the purpose of and when I spoke to Jessica at Rick Tim's office, she stated that it is a good idea to do that because that is inside work at the high school, and that would be aidable. So that would benefit us to do that now, so that we don't have to worry about that. Say 2, 3, 4 years down the road.
Right. But
so how much would that be? The abatement would be.
So the number that we've got in the budget right now is 168,900. That's the quote that we've gotten. Now, we haven't finalized that yet because we're still talking to them about that, and we're trying to see if we can get that number reduced a little bit. But that's the number we're carrying right now.
That seems excessive, but okay. So 168 plus. So the roughly $1 million that you have left, the 168 is in that number, or it's out already?
It's in that number. So you have $1 million left, even if you spent all that 168.
And also what it would cost for the lights. Everything's out. The $1 million means that we do the abatement and we do the lights.
Yeah,
we
right.
have a choice. We got to finish that project. We committed to do the lights, so if abatement comes with it, that's an unexpected expense that I believe we need to do, because that was one of the projects, right?
It's part of the project, and if we didn't do it, we would have the lights, and the likelihood is that it would never get done because we'd have to have another project in order to do it. But
we don't have a choice. So as long as that money's out of the $1 million, we have $1 million left. Now, is the rock removal out of that $1 million?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Okay.
So we've accounted for those 2 big ticket items in the budget for right now. But
I'm worried about the front, because I know there's a tremendous amount of work that's done, but
we lost you there, Ann, for a second.
The front field. Is there anything else that could possibly go wrong there that we would need funds for?
Well, that's really where that rock issue is coming into play. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And how much is the add-on that we would?
Which add-on, Ann?
Be deciding upon the back end, the back handicap entrance.
Right. So there's EC1. There's consideration on putting EC1 and just repackaging it with some other things that need to be done, some other upgrades that need to be done then at the high school, and putting that out as a separate project. That way we can close out the FCRs for the main project that we have, and it would just be a mini project still under the auspices of that capital project. And the capital.
And that EC1 is the only one we didn't do. Everything else we got to put in.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
And we also, and just so you know, we also checked with Rick Tim's office too. They did look at everything, and they're comfortable with, if we decide to do that ramp, they're comfortable with proceeding with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And those other small projects that Frank just mentioned?
Yeah, we would have, and altogether, if we had about $1 million, and let's presume we used a number with some level of escalation of $350,000, we would be able to do, somewhere between $400,000 and $500,000 after you take out other incidentals and cost numbers out of that, architecture fees, CM, all those legal fees, et cetera. Like I said, in addition to that, we'd be able to do about $400,000 of work, but the goal is to package that so that we can close out the main part of this project and start the aid flowing on it. Right now, we've been very fortunate because we've been able to ban out at low interest rates, and our goal would be able to bond this project out at low interest rates. And Denise is a financial person, but that actually saves us a lot of money. And as we've been talking about since July of 2017, the goal of this project was to do this work with no additional impact to the taxpayers for the project. It looks like we are in real good shape to be able to do not only what we had originally proposed, but also all the various additions, the extra lights at the Debbie Crow Field, the bleachers there, and some of the other upgrades. And we're in pretty good shape. And, one thing that, Scott and I talked about whether or not to really talk about this, if we do these, the abatement and the change orders for rock, Scott, you said we'd be about 3.5% change orders?
Just over 3. Over 3. Yeah.
And a typical project of this size, you are in the vicinity of?
Well, we'd like to see anything under 5.
So we're in good shape, and that's including these change orders that we just talked about. Rock, yeah. So we're in real good shape. We're probably in the vicinity of about 1.5 or under 2 without these things. So, we've been very tight as far as those things go, and we've not value engineered anything out. So,
right.
All right. Well, then this is all really great news. So in order to start that EC, I could be wrong, but we have 1,000 people working there. I've never seen so many people in all different areas doing all different things. Would it be beneficial to us to try to get that going right away so they don't have to all the contractors don't have to come back and set up again and all that?
So what we would probably do to this, Ann, and I'll let both Scott and Denise fill in my gaps because, again, I think everybody knows I'm a social studies teacher by trade. But what we would do is we would package the EC1 work and the various other additions, again, replacing the lift on the second floor to the athletic wing, replacing some other items at the high school into a new project for submission to SED, still under the capital project of 2017, but it would just have a new project number. This way we could close out the projects that we have. So that would put us, we wouldn't be able to do this work until next summer in all likelihood, but we'd be able to get it. And that the goal is to get what we want and to have aid flow. And I think that would accomplish that. And I'm going to defer to Scott and Denise on what I just said.
So the aid would flow on the money that we spent in the work that we did already. And then this would be a quote unquote sub project that we need approval for, but we don't need it on a voter approval. We need SED approval. We would not need a referendum because we've been authorized to $23.4 million worth of upgrades and enhancements and repairs to O'Neill. So as long as we don't overexpend that, then we don't need anything. We just need to go out to the state to approve, the work. So. But they already approved EC1, right? They did. So we'll send it up, but let them know that they approved it. Yeah.
We don't need to send it up. We don't need to.
We don't need to send it up. Okay.
We can send up the other work.
Oh, good. Okay.
Well, it really depends on what we ultimately end up doing, because we may decide to make some slight modification. And I'm not saying we will, but we may decide that we might modify it, somehow. Because if we can do the same thing, accomplish the same thing, and maybe do it for a little less, in the design, then that's something we should look at.
Right. The site work is not aidable anyway. So
right.
I know, but these processes are so complex and you would think you have the money, it's part of the project, like just go do it. Like it's all these things that I'm so glad you're taking the time to explain them to us, because we need to be able to explain and answer to the community. So Denise, can you tell us what your thoughts are?
So I agree with moving forward and putting this into another project, because if we do not get the final cost in, or, the substantial completion and work on that final cost by December, where we're slated to get, say, $300,000 in building aid, we're only going to receive half of those monies. So it's imperative that we move forward in this manner, and it will actually save money to the taxpayer.
Yeah, and I think what we want to do, again, the site work is not going to be aidable anyway, so we'll work with Rick and with Scott and Denise, and we can get Joe and their opinion, because if we can do this, and because again, the aid's not going to flow from this part of this work, because it's just site work. But if we can get this done while we still have Whispering Pines or somebody out there, it may be better. But I think we just need to have more information. We really were just very happy to get the numbers, and you start talking about the fact that we were talking a year ago we wouldn't be able to do this, or we might not be able to do this, and now we're talking as we get closer to seeing the end that this could be a reality. That's a great thing.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
I would caution that to add, and it might be possible. I was saying we've got to do some more discussion on this, but to add that ramp work and to try to get that done this fall with the current contractors that we have, and get the project completely closed out by the end of December, might be tough to do, because we obviously want them to get the parking lots and sidewalks finished and all of the field work done. So that's the first priority, is to get all of that done so we can close out the main project. I think, logistically, it might make sense to just do that work in a second smaller project. And do it.
Yeah, that's kind of what Denise is saying and Frank is saying. I think can I just so we're clear here, does everyone on the board understand what they're saying and are in agreement with it, or have any questions on that piece of our thing? They're good. Aaron's good. Gabe?
I'm not in agreement at this time.
Okay, Ned, Gabe, our go-to
If you're
guy on this
talking
stuff.
about a construction project in Fort Montgomery, on the Fort Montgomery School.
I'm sorry, Ned, I didn't hear the first part of your statement.
If you're talking about a construction project on the Fort Montgomery School, then my comments are applicable to that.
High school, finishing the project at the high school.
Okay.
Yeah, Ned, this is the accessibility. Yeah, this was the ad that we were considering for accessibility upgrades at O'Neill to the back of the building. Remember when we made the accessibility through the lift system in the back, we also had talked and asked them for accessibility to the back, and that's what this is talking about.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
What is the
Scott.
ramp?
Yep.
Thank
Made
you.
reference.
Gabe, do you have any questions on this?
I do not, Ann.
At this
I understand
time?
what they're saying. It makes sense. Everything's from my point of view, things I've seen up there. Construction has progressed very nicely. I know it doesn't look like it's not very pretty up front yet. It will be very soon, people.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, who's next?
Joe.
Hi
Thank you,
to our
everyone.
new guest. Hi to our new guest that just joined with Rachel. Okay, sorry, Joe.
No problem. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to talk to Scott and I. The project is substantially complete. We're putting the final touches on items. The science casework arrived extremely late from the manufacturer, which has caused delays, and we have people working right now putting it in. We're working through the weekend to finish it up. So that work will be complete with temporary tops for a few weeks until the epoxy tops come in. The manufacturer that makes the epoxy tops had a fire, which set them back, and then the COVID set them back. So they're a few weeks behind. Everything else in the building is complete. We may be missing we're missing some of the glass tile when you walk in, but the bathrooms will be cleaned, are cleaned. Once the glass tile comes in, it'll be installed. Classrooms have been completed. The district has cleaned it. The contractors are also cleaning up, and one of the contractors that the district is using, once they're done cleaning, they're also doing a COVID sanitation, so that that eliminates any concern of while the contractors were in the building. So pretty much the project will be done. We will continue working throughout the school year. We have fire alarm to finish, which you currently have. We need to finish the new fire alarm. You currently have and is still working your existing fire alarm. We need to finish some data drops in the building, but it will be ready for the kids where they can have a comfortable seat and feel comfortable. The site package, which is the field that everyone's looking at that doesn't look like it's being complete. Tons of work is going on every day. The nice thing about that site package is Whispering Pines has recycled your existing material. If you notice when you're driving by, you see these massive boulders. They've crushed it down into 3/4 inch stone and using it as item 4 that we're placing underneath the field. So that's scheduled to be completed in November sometime. The pole barn is up. It's missing power. We'll have power run to that in the next couple of weeks. We wanted to concentrate on getting inside the building done first. And that's pretty much my update, unless I'm not sure if I missed something or if I went too fast. So ask away if you have any questions.
Anyone have any questions on that? Go ahead.
Joe, I have a question in regards to the ramps leading off the gym area. Those are also going to be done as well?
The painting of the sidewalk bridges?
No.
Of the bridges, I mean?
Painting of the bridges, but also replacing the, I guess, the asphalt on the bridges themselves too?
Yes.
Okay.
From memory, I'm saying yes, that's being done. I know they're being painted, so I'll double check that, but from memory, yes, we're replacing the asphalt.
That's part of it.
Yeah, that was one of the big things that we wanted to make sure got done. Yeah.
Yep.
And our
It's
question
crumbling.
is, there's also going to be additional parking around the girls softball field there too, using the recycled asphalt from the parking lots. That's a go as well then, right?
Talking by the pole barn?
I'm talking about the softball, around the softball field. There's additional parking over there around the circumference of the softball field going to the pole barn, right?
Yes, that's in the project. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that won't be paved. It'll have basically crushed material, and we'll be able to temporarily paint it ourselves. And that's what we did last year when we had faculty parking there. Yeah, it's not primary parking. It's supplemental parking. That's why we're not going to have it paved. But yeah.
And last question, the area between the softball field and the new turf field, the Debbie Crow turf field, will that elevation be the same, or will that be a little lower than where the new turf field will be?
From memory, it's all one elevation, but maybe Scott.
Are you talking
where the shot put is and the discus throw, that area next to a senior's rock?
Yeah, I think that's all. I think that's all one elevation.
Yeah, but the senior's rock is definitely one elevation.
Yep.
If you notice, we took some trees down yesterday on that area, and
Yeah.
and the excavators over there chopping out some of the rock.
And I saw the whole process a few months back when they were taking the rock away, chopping it up, and bringing it back for the fill for the Debbie Crow Field. It was really kind of very interesting to watch and very smart reuse of material. That could have cost us a lot of money. So thank you for that.
Before we let Scott and Joe off the hook, was hoping maybe, there's a change order for the board's consideration this evening. I know the board had it in their materials, but just was hoping maybe Joe and or Scott could go over it. That's the transformer replacement. Somebody could just explain that to the board in case there was a question.
Sure. So the transformer in the project, if you recall, before we redid the tennis courts, we had the main power source coming up the hill, and we had to cut that out. And we've ran new wires down to the main entrance of the school. And over the last year or so, we've been going back and forth with Orange and Rockland. And then they tested your existing transformer, and the transformer is leaking. So they're forcing us to put a new transformer in. We have no choice, which resulted in Scott's team doing a design per the direction of Orange and Rockland. And that is the change order you have in front of you, where you're going to have a brand new transformer. You have brand new wires from the pole down at the bottom of the hill all the way up, and it'll eliminate the concern of the existing buried electrical wires that are old. So on this one, I hate saying you have no choice, but Scott and I, both of our firms, negotiated with the contractor to get it to a fair and reasonable number, and this is where we're at.
Are there any questions on it? We have to approve it tonight. So while we have them, if there's any questions, ask away now.
How much, what is the price for the transformer itself contrasted to the electrical wiring and the other things? The total I see is now over 120,000.
But the transformer is being
correct?
provided by Orange and Rockland. They don't charge you for that.
Yeah, really the cost, I didn't know if I was muted. The cost for this is really for all of the associated rewiring that has to be done because of the new transformer coming in. We can't put it back in the same location. We actually have to leave the old transformer in place, set a new transformer nearby, rerun all the wires, get everything done before you can make the switch over, because obviously you don't want to be without power for just a very short amount of time while you're making that switch over. So the transformer is Orange and Rockland's cost, but all of the associated electrical work to connect it to the building is the district's cost, unfortunately. It's just like if you had a power service coming into your house, the utility would pay for some of that, but you would be responsible for the wiring. It's just a much bigger house and a much bigger wire. So.
I have a question that's specific to that at all, to the change order. But there was mention of Senior Rock, and it's probably not a fair question to ask, or one that you probably can legitimately answer. I'm looking specifically at Frank and Robin. When it's safe to do so, will the seniors be alerted to the accessibility of the rock?
Yeah, I actually think that's the reason why we preserved it as a tradition, and I would imagine that Debbie and Robin would work with Joe Rayow to schedule that appropriately and safely. I mean, it's a tradition. That's why we didn't have it disturbed.
Right. No, that I know. I just want to make sure that they're encouraged to not do anything right now while it's not safe, but that they'll be supported in doing so when it is.
I'll ask Debbie and Robin to communicate that.
They'll get the message. We'll send out the message.
Thank you.
I thought it was the other side.
We got plenty of rock if you want us to relocate some.
I have a question for Scott. Scott, did the architects, what was the price out that the architects did before Foremost gave him the price for the work? Since it was not bid. Could you hear me?
No, I only got a piece of that. I'm sorry, Ned. The connection's a little poor.
My question was, before obtaining the price from Foremost, did the architects price out what they thought the cost was going to be? Did the amount that Foremost chose to bill us with compare anticipated expense?
So I believe your question was, did we review, did we believe that the price that Foremost submitted was a fair price? I think that was your question. And
a little bit. The end result may be that, but my question was, before obtaining the price from Foremost, did you put together what you thought the anticipated cost would be, wiring and the other costs to the transformer?
What we did, I mean, and this is fairly typical whenever there's a change like this, we actually did the design documents. We figured out what needed to be done, what had to be changed to make this all work. And then we, we did not, if you're asking, did we put together a separate estimate for that? We did not, because whatever our estimate wasn't really reality. It's what the contractor is going to charge for that. Now, when we got the numbers back from the contractor, then we sat down and we went through that line item by line item with our engineers, and also with Savin to review that and to make sure that we thought it was fair. And there was some negotiation back and forth, and that number ultimately was brought down.
From what to what?
Joe, I think that wasn't their original number around 190 or so?
That is correct.
Yeah, so I think their original number was 190 or a little even more than that, or a little more than that, but we
I think it was 207 the first time, then it went down to 190.
That's right. It was 207, then we got it down to 190, then we ultimately got it down to 168, I believe. So we brought it down 50,000 or so, or almost 50,000 from where it originally was.
128.
The 128.
More than that. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about the auditorium abatement. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was much more than that, actually. Yeah, it was almost.
But speaking about the auditorium abatement number, just because you're bringing that up,
yep.
The original number we received from ML was 200,000, and then we got the second number of the 168, which BCA and Savin are still working on. If the board is really considering to proceed with this work.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much. Good luck in getting everything done for us. We appreciate it.
All right.
Have a great night.
Take care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, so our next discussion item would be our committee reports. So our this year going forward. So I don't know if you wanted to make any changes or if anyone wanted to, if everyone just wants to remain on the committees that they're on. Marissa, could you take notes for us though and make sure? So I would like to just spend a minute going down the committees, and I'm on another screen. I'm on the board doc screen. So please let me know for the policy committee. Are we still okay with Faith, Gabe, and Erin joining Frank on that committee?
I'm still okay with that.
Okay,
I'm good with it.
good. Gabe?
I'm okay.
Okay. Wellness, health, and safety, Faith and Ned?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Audit committee, myself, Gus, and Gabe?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. Facilities committee, Ned, Aaron, and Gabe, and I would only be an observer.
Yep,
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay.
Ned, do you still want to get in the facilities?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And then the diversity and equity committee, we have Faith, Aaron, and myself. Is there anyone that wants off or wants on?
I'm staying on.
I'm good.
Okay. The one we talk about all the time, OXPA, and New York State School Board, Faith and Jimmy as a backup. How is that going? And do you want to keep that? And Faith, you don't have a choice, do you?
I don't have a choice. No, I'm on the executive committee. But again, I have the same conversation every year. As far as the backup, there's very few meetings that I can't go to, but almost 100% of the time when I can't go, my backup often can't go either. And the backup's been a few different people over
Faith,
the years.
I got you, Faith. I'm with you. I got you. I'll back up.
Well, what happens, Aaron, if you have sports, athletics, you have to open the gym or T-ball or whatever?
I'll make it work. I think I did it once or twice last year. I met Frank at a meeting out in Goshen. I can make it work. If we need someone to do it, I'll do it. That's fine.
Jimmy, are you okay with that? And you're still willing to be an alternate if Faith, at least if we have two alternates? Jimmy, are you still okay with that?
Sure, whatever works.
Okay.
It doesn't happen very often, so.
Just put on James and, so Marissa, you got that one? Okay.
Won't they be virtual, Faith?
I'm sorry?
Won't they be virtual?
For right now, we're sort of taking it meeting by meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, virtual, yeah.
Our athletics liaison, Gabe, are you still on board to be my helper backup? Okay. And then the federal government funding liaison, that's the impact aid stuff. Is everyone still okay with me doing that? Anybody would love to raise their hand? You have great traveling partners. And we haven't been having to travel lately, but okay, I get it. Okay. Now the state funding advocacy, this one's really, really, really important this year. I know we're all going to participate, but is there anyone else? Is there anyone who wants to come off? Is there anyone who wants to stay on with that? Right now, obviously, the leaders are Frank and Denise, and then it's myself, James, and Gus. So is everyone okay with that being the way it is? Gus? Okay.
Yes.
Jimmy?
Fine.
Sure.
Okay. And then the local government liaison is Gabe as an alternate to Jimmy DeSalvo.
I'm okay.
Is that one good?
I'm okay.
Okay. The tax, okay. I'm going to come back to that one, but okay. The tax cert liaison, I think this worked well last year for Jimmy and Ned with Denise, to meet with Denise when tax certs come up, and because you two have the most knowledge of what's going on in the community and what properties they're speaking of. So are you both still okay to be on?
Yes.
Sure. Yes.
Yes? Okay, thank you. And then our West Point Community Council liaison, again, is myself as president, Ned is the vice president, and those meetings have been few and far between because of COVID, but I'm sure they'll pick up soon. Community engagement report we'll get from Frank. So Frank and I just touched base on these. Right now with everything going on, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of any other committee that we really need to have our liaison at this time.
Nope.
No. Okay. So we're good to go, Marissa.
Okay.
Okay. So the only change then is on OXPA as, you got it. Aaron will be the second backup. Okay, excellent. A double back. Okay, excellent. Now from there,
And are we going to do any committee reporting? I mean, I would like to talk.
I want you to give us a report on the meeting, if you don't mind, not to put you on the spot, but right now I don't really know of, we'll touch on them, okay?
Okay, Denise has her hand up.
We'll touch on the
Wants to ask first.
Okay, I'm going back to
when you're done, Faith. Faith, when you're done, I do need to talk about the audit committee.
Okay, so the high school schedule, we talked about the capital plan. So from a liaison committee report, any policy committee updates? Not at this time, am I right?
That's correct right now.
Wellness, health and safety school just started. Audit committee, that is pertaining to the audit that's in process because we haven't closed it out. So go ahead, Denise.
Okay, so October 1st, Chris Maley will meet with the board via Google Meet to present the budget, to present the audit. So I'm looking at, I'm going to have to contact him, but I want to discuss with you guys about a week beforehand. We're also going to meet via Google Meet, the audit committee. So I don't know if there's any day better for Ann and Gus and Gabe than others. I mean, it should be pretty quick. By my understanding, everything went very well this year. The only issue is going to be our 4% fund balance, but we know that. So like I said, I don't know if you want me to just reach out to everybody in an email to see a day that's better than others before I reach out to Chris for the audit committee meeting.
Why don't you reach out to him first and then let me know, unless you, and other than, I should have let the other two participants speak first because I can usually move mine, but is there any day better for you guys?
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
And does it matter the time, Gabe, or is there a better time than others? Because I'm going to probably look around the week of the 21st, probably.
Yeah, anytime after 4 o'clock is fine.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Gus?
Yeah, I'm fine with that as well.
Okay. Thank you for that one. The next one is diversity and equity. I know we've had some meetings. I don't know, but I thought we gave an update since our last meeting, but maybe does Aaron or Faith have any new on that?
Did you say diversity? I'm sorry, I missed it. You said diversity?
Diversity and equity. I know we had an update not too long ago.
I started to listen in on the last meeting when I was driving to pick up the food, but it cut off and I didn't get back in. So I didn't really get to hear too much of it. I was going to get on the next one.
Yeah, there is to be a lot of discussion about diversity and equity in the superintendent conference day. So I'm interested in hearing how those conversations went.
Yeah, and just also, I'll let Andrea start with that because we have a second session tomorrow, but we did spend a lot of time over the summer talking about issues of equity related to our closing and what level of impact that had on our students and some valuable opportunities for engagement. We had some book clubs that met throughout the summer connected to the DEC. A lot of people have read some great works as a result of being involved in that. And the committee is very active and we're very committed to making sure that we address the issues of, equity, access, anti-racism in our schools. So, Andrea?
Yeah. Marissa,
I'm sorry.
Marissa, could you make a note that when the date and time are set for those to let me know? I'd like to listen in as well. Thank you.
Yes, okay. We have a schedule for the first 6 months or 3 months.
Which one? A
I
committee?
think the diversity and equity. I believe he's talking about the diversity and equity.
Yes.
So,
We have 3 board members on that already. Is that a problem?
yeah, one of them can't go then. So you have to let me know which one you're going to call into. Then one of us can't go. So just let me know if you don't mind.
Yeah. That's one
Yeah.
I'm definitely not willing to come off of. I think I've been so far invested.
Yeah.
I'm not coming off.
No. I don't mind sharing if I need to share. It's perfectly fine. My point is, though, 4 of us can't be on.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Or can't attend any individual
Yeah.
meeting because otherwise it's constituting a quorum of the board.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that update. So, Faith, would you?
Why can you say you listen as a member of the public would have a right to listen?
You're a board member.
Because 4 board members can't.
It can't
Might
participate.
be crazy, but it's the rule because it's then considered a board meeting and we would have to notice it.
I don't agree with you, but
Well, it's a law. We're just following the law. That's all. The school law, state ed.
Yeah, it's the same as all the other committees. It's no different.
Yeah. Because if we were calling it like a liaison and we were each taking turns, that's one thing. But we are calling it a committee, and that's why. That's why.
I'm not participating. You want to get a
when I'm on the
What is your-
facilities committee, if Aaron and Gabe are there,
ruling on it?
okay. Well,
I'll deal with it myself, okay.
I don't mind not going because I know you'll cover it, and I know Faith Aaron, so it's fine. Okay.
Forget about it. I'll take care of it.
Okay. Number 6, delegate to OXPA. Faith, I know you wanted to give us an update.
I do. So we had an OXPA meeting last night. And for part of the meeting, we really just kind of commiserated a little bit. All the districts that participated talked about what their reopening plan was and the changes that have all come about for all of our districts, what the struggles are and engaging with the community and all of those things. So we just, I guess, maybe had a little bit of fellowship and having conversation about that. But the presenter for that meeting was Barry Entwistle from NYSBA. And he talked in great detail about the upcoming convention. And I was, a little reluctant. That's why I've been sort of hesitant in terms of deciding whether or not I wanted to sign up, even though I am the voting delegate for our district. But the school nerd in me was like jumping out of my chair, listening to him talking about the convention and how it's going to be run and the different sessions that they're going to be having. One of the criticisms that we always have when we go to the convention is that you can only see so many of the sessions. You can only participate in so much at one time. We try to diversify and make sure that we don't all go to the same session, even though it might be something that we're, all interested in. The benefit with this convention and the way that they're setting it up is all of the sessions are going to be recorded. And if you pay for registration, you get unique credentials assigned to you, and you have up to 2 months to view the sessions. So if there's 2 things that were going on at the same time that you're not able to split yourself in half, you can go back in at any other time within that 2-month period and view that session. It just won't be live at that point, obviously. It was also talking about how it's seamless to, if you start with one session and you realize, I'm not really that interested in this one, you can just jump into another one. You're not locked into your choices. You also don't get locked out of a room. There's no maximum capacity, which when you go to convention, if you don't get there quick enough, you're not getting in. So that, takes that part of it away. They also talked about the fact that they'll be recording some bonus sessions because they could only offer so many, but they're going to be doing some pre-recording of presentations from various districts across the state that they'll be releasing after convention, and they'll be available to those who had registered up until sometime in 2021. And they'll sort of be like rolled out throughout that period of time. So that was really interesting to me as well. I'll be honest, I did have some text message conversation with Anne while I was meeting with it, trying to figure out a way where we could beat the system, or we could pay for a registration and have like group viewings or, something along those lines. But frankly, that's just not the honest way to go about it. And, they did recognize that that's probably some folks will do that, and they're hoping that they won't, because although they were able to reduce the cost of attending convention, the cost to put forth the convention did not go down very much for NYSBA, because they had to buy into the software and the programming and all of that stuff. So that said, I do want to participate, and I will of course participate in the annual meeting on Saturday also. So Marissa, if you could please register me, I would appreciate that.
And what this means is that Frank and I are both going to stay registered. We were waiting for advice from Faith after this meeting, but we both will stay registered. And of course, we will share any materials or any ideas that we get out of the different sessions. And we are very careful not to all go to the same session. And then we all should be saying our prayers that hope to goodness that we can all get back into person next year, so we can show off the great work that Dr. Sheboy and Andrea did, as well as our schools, district's musical talent. So there we go.
Yeah.
So thank you, Faith, on that one. Athletics, we have no updates. We should probably be getting one in a week or two, but right now we don't have any. Fair statement, Dr. Sheboy?
Absolutely. We're still waiting for some guidance from Section 9 as far as timelines. So once we have that, then we make decisions here based on that set of timelines. And obviously we did not yet appoint coaches, not knowing that timeline, but once we know timeline, then we'll bring those recommendations to the board as we need to.
Federal government funding liaison, our fall meeting is virtual. We've already paid, we've already joined, we've already set up. We're already starting to get invites to Google Meet, Zoom meetings. So right now, Dr. Sheboy, myself, Roxanne, and Denise will be participating. And in order to get the most out of this, because every year is important, every meeting is important, but this year more than ever, we need to make sure that we keep we need to really watch very carefully everything that's going on and listen to everything. I'm concerned with the drop in state aid. I'm concerned on many levels. So we need to really hear about our impact aid. I know that they've been fighting for additional monies for some of the organizations. So what I have strongly recommended and suggested that Dr. Sheboy and Denise work off premise, because if you're at work, you know how many times you get interrupted. So it has to be full participation, just like we're at the meeting. So whether they work from home or wherever they work for the 2 or 3 days. I'm not. Yeah, it's starting on 21st. It's the 21st, 22nd, and I didn't see a lot of things on the 23rd. 23rd, right. Because it was originally scheduled for the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this time because of some conflicts in DC, but it looks like that it's virtual now. It's probably going to just be the Monday, Tuesday. So we'll get as much information as we can and bring it back. But if you see them missing on those dates, that's why.
Is that September?
Yes, Ned, that's September.
Thank you.
Yep.
You're welcome. Okay, state funding advocacy. Dr. Sheboy, have you heard back from any of those? He has a smile on his face, so the answer is no. With all those phone calls that we had?
I've heard back from nobody in regards to any sort of state funding assistance. And obviously, we all know that it's not going to come directly from the state. If it comes from the state, it's going to be passed through from the federal government because the state can't run on an operational deficit, whereas the federal government can. But we'll continue to try to secure additional state funding because our COVID response and with the concern over a loss of potentially 20% of our aid across the board, including categorical aids, we cannot take a hit to our aid.
And at which time we think it's necessary for us to start getting the community and more involvement from the school board, meaning let's get out there, let's sign papers, let's sign emails, let's flood their emails, let's flood their fax machines. We will do so. We'll keep you posted. The aide from Schumer's office was, said she would keep us in the loop as to when the best time was to do that and who to do that to. And I think she was rattled by Frank's behavior and tone, which I appreciated very much. And I think she understands how strongly that we feel about it. So I know that she will get back to Dr. Sheboy when she has more information. Okay, the next one is local government liaison. I don't think we have anything at this time. Do we, James? Okay,
No.
it's not tax or nothing, right?
Yeah, not to my knowledge at this point, no.
And it's not tax cert time at this time. Am I also correct?
We received about 6 or 7 tax certs, but nothing has come up yet.
So we wait for them to come up.
Right, and then I'll contact Ned and Jimmy directly because it could be, in between board meetings.
Yeah.
So once the attorneys contact me, I contact them, then we'll update you the following board meeting.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And go ahead. I thought someone was saying something. Sorry. The next one is the West Point Community Council. And we haven't had any meetings yet. It's too early. And as of right now, I don't think they're going to be having any right away inviting us anywhere. Dr. Sheboy, it's too early for a community engagement report. Am I correct?
Yes, and I lean on the principals for a lot of that, so they'll be including a lot of that stuff in their reports. So, but yeah, we'll pick that up heavy in October.
Yep. I do have a question. Maybe it's more geared to Andrea in that regard. As far as the parent university stuff coming out in terms of supporting students through the virtual learning, what are the plans for that?
So Kristen Magyar and I are going to work with the principals to connect with parents based on grade level, and we'll be scheduling those for the early evening. We wanted to get a sense of get the kids started and then break it down as a grade level based on who needs the most support. Also, we're creating a new website with additional resources for parents with little videos and tutorials about how to use the Chromebooks, how to access some of the new technologies that we're using, how to do some basic troubleshooting. And we continue to have the IT support form for anybody that's having issues.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did we lose Anne?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I moved to another room. Sorry, I moved to another room. Okay. So use of the consent agenda permits the Board of Education to make more effective use of its time by adopting a single motion to cover those relatively routine matters which are included. Any member of the board who wishes to discuss individually a particular piece of business on the consent agenda may so indicate, and that item will be considered and voted on separately, thus preserving the right of all board members to be heard on any issue. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following consent agenda as submitted by the Superintendent of Schools, and that includes items 2 through 22. May I get a motion?
Second.
A motion and a
What?
second. Does anyone have any questions on 1 through 22?
One question. The electric add-on is not one of the 22, correct?
It's number 21. The change order,
Okay.
do you mean?
Yep.
Foremost?
Yes.
It's number 21.
Okay, thank you.
21? Yeah, okay, good. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I
Motion carries, and I believe,
I am opposed to number 21.
you have a question. Oh, I'm sorry, what?
He's opposed.
You're opposed to number
I
21?
vote nay. Number 21.
You got it, Marissa? Okay, thank you. And it is my feeling that we have 2 of our new teachers or employees on the meeting with us.
Yes, we do. We have Yvonne and we have Michael. And Yvonne is going to join the PPS department. And Yvonne, you want to say something to the board and introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Yvonne. I want to thank everyone for the opportunity. I am excited to start my new role and use my personal and professional knowledge. And I hope to get to know every one of you as best as we can with the conditions that we're working under now.
Welcome.
But I'm looking forward to it, and I so thank you.
Welcome, Yvonne.
And if I'm not mistaken, Yvonne, you are a Raider alumni, correct?
I'm sorry?
You are Raider alumni, correct?
No.
Okay.
And we also have
Michael?
Michael, yes.
Hello, I'd just like to thank the board and the administration for letting me have the opportunity to come in at this very difficult and unprecedented time. And I am very, very excited. I've had my first 2 days at the intermediate school, and I'm seeing a phenomenal faculty and a phenomenal administration, and they are going to throw every effort against this problem that we're facing, and we're going to connect with these kids, and I'm very, very excited to be here. I'm joining the E&L department for 6 through 8, and Michael and Yashira have been fabulous to me so far, and the faculty and staff have been so welcoming, and I'm very, very glad to be here, and I'd like to thank the board so much for their time and their consideration.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Michael. Welcome.
Now, can I just say, Michael, I was noticing in your resume the experience that you have in terms of directing. And I wonder if at some point maybe the video club or something could reap the benefits of your experience in that way.
Well, I've been listening very closely to the board, and I appreciate your time. Today, we were having these incredible video discussions regarding the media, regarding television, regarding all of these issues that are facing our children and our students right now. And the faculty of the intermediate school were incredibly insightful, very honest. It was a wonderful discussion, an uncomfortable discussion at times that was happening, very constructive. And it comes from, I have 25 years in the entertainment business on 4 continents. I worked with 7 presidents, and their opinions and insights were extremely insightful, very thoughtful, and I'm really, after participating, I'm really looking forward to a fabulous year. I think we're going to do really, really great things.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so at this time, does anyone have anything else? Okay.
Hey, Ann, this is Cecil.
Hi.
Hey, just, Ann, 2 things from me. On the state aid and the federal aid, if we look like we're going to get in a jam, right, if it's getting tight, I just want you to kind of reach out, because we do have some potential levers on our side of the fence over here that, if we're getting a critical mass, with Senator Schumer's office or some of these other folks, you need to let us know, right? And there's other things we can do, and with the velvet hammer to try to assist if we get to that point. So I just want to put that out there.
Thank you very much.
The other part is with the West Point engagement. I know Frank's got the town hall. Is there anything else, Ann, you or Frank want to do above and beyond that? I think you're pretty dialed in on a few of the constituents. Is there anything else you think you need at all?
No, we're in good shape. What we participate in, which is very interesting to us, is the West Point Community Council, where we meet with Mickey and her team.
Right.
And then hopefully that Dr. Sheboy and I will still continue to get invited to, if your predecessor still does the meetings that we have with all the local constituents. I don't know if her plan is to do those, but they were very informative as well at the ski slope.
Yeah, they will absolutely continue to do those. I was just more inclined, if there's anything above and beyond that, right, where you want to get a pulse or you think there's a need, you just need to let me know and I can push those along as well.
The West Point Community Council liaison is very helpful because Andrea and our building principals, they all get invited and we really feed off each other and listen to ideas. And so we look forward to those when they're able to start up again.
Okay. And then the last thing for the board that we've got about 6 home football games this year. So just to kind of talk to you more about just the quality of life right in town, just so you know, for this weekend, there's absolutely no fans, no activity. The Corps of Cadets are going to the game, but that's really about it. So there is a game played. It'll be on TV. But outside of that and the team flying in, which will stay at the Fair Hotel, nobody else is allowed to be there but the actual team. That's kind of probably for the way forward how it will be. So you should not see a big upturn in folks in the town and the city and all that. But I just wanted to give you just a quick Reader's Digest of kind of what a football weekend, which is vastly different than what you're normally used to, looks like coming up this weekend.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
That's all I've got, Ann. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
And we can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I'm on this, Frank, we are returning to open session?
No, I was going to say that the board will not.
Okay, and what I'm reading about and to seek advice of counsel, that'll work for both topics?
Yes.
Thank you. Be it resolved that the Board of Education recesses into executive session for the purpose of discussing collective negotiations under the Taylor Law with the Town of Highlands Teachers Association, teachers and aides and monitors units, and to seek the advice of legal counsel. The board will not be returning to open session to take action.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody, for joining.